Hello, I am the stay-at-home dad gamer, and right now we're going to be talking about the PAX demo of Lost Planet 3. Well, I was very looking forward to playing this because I really liked the first Lost Planet, mostly because robots. I like robots. But the second one, while I did enjoy playing it with my friends, it didn't feel enough like the first. It felt very different. And I feel with the third one, it looks like they're going back to, I want to say back to the roots, but that's kind of weird because there's like 2 games before this. But it goes back to when the planet's all icy, there's no jungle parts, I don't think, and it seems like it's a very single player focused game, which I'm definitely for. Now, got my chance to try it, and it was a bit rough when I first started, mostly because I actually looked, there were no options in the demo to invert my aim. So it made aiming a little bit more, I'd say it made it harder than it needed to be just because of that. So some people will be fine because they don't invert it, and at least for the demo. And the real game, I imagine, will let you do it because any game worth its salt lets you do that. That aside, visually it looked really good. The acrid looked fine. You know, they had their glowing orange bits. They looked like they were supposed to. The atmosphere was, it seemed like they tried to go for a little bit of a Dead Space vibe, where I was in this base and they had like the skittering creatures, you know, like, oh, when is it going to jump out? Combat was fine. I had trouble aiming. There was, if you hold the left trigger, you scope it, whatever you want to call it, where you aim in. That worked fine, but the enemies move fast enough that I didn't use that very often, so maybe that was my problem. But moving side to side, I felt like he moved too fast, so it was hard for me to accurately aim at anything, especially the really fast moving creatures. So I got my butt kicked a lot, which was fairly embarrassing. And so aiming was a bit hard because of that. Movement was fine. The controls were a little bit better than 2. They didn't seem as confusing. I was able to pick up what the buttons were pretty quickly because 2 had a very strange control scheme. That was fine. Riding in the mech going the first person, I was kind of worried about that change, but in number 2, some of the mechs were so big that it really covered a lot of your area of the screen. So I was looking forward to it. I'm like, that could be a good solution, to have the mech combat, have it more interesting, have it more unique, and not have it as cluttering of the screen. And it actually worked fairly well. The machine moved fairly quickly, which was a surprise because it's a big lumbering one. So from a gameplay standpoint, I like that. Maybe not as realistic, but I like it. And I don't know if you ever get guns because you just have that giant drill arm. Some of the combat, though, on the ground, I felt the dodge wasn't... Like, the enemies countered for the dodge a little too quickly. So if you dodged a little bit early, they would hit you. So it was like God of War or Amalur, where the dodge wasn't as good as it should be. But at the same time, it actually worked fairly well. So if you dodged at the right time, it was perfect. You know, the guy... like the giant crab boss you fought, he got stuck, so you're able to hit him. I only got a shotgun, another weapon. I picked up, in the machine gun you start with, I picked up grenades. I never seemed to be able to use them. None of the buttons seemed to throw grenades. I didn't hit the back button. That might be it. I don't know. Other than that, what I really like about it was I started, and I was going to skip the cutscene because I want to play the game. I don't really care about the cutscene, but it starts... and the main character you play as, who is either Jim Raynor or Hobo, I don't know, was talking, and it's a message to his family. And, I was hitting the buttons like, let's get past this. And he's like, well, money, I never used to care about money, but then we had a child when all hell broke loose, and I understood that not caring about money was a luxury of those who had it. And I actually stopped. I was going to skip it, and he started talking about that, and I stopped, and I was like, wow. With 2 sentences, they managed to make a character that I could identify with, and that was really amazing to me. I know it sounds really strange, but most protagonists, I feel, are, 20-something guys that can, like, oh, hey, there's a pretty girl in this game, I'll get with her, and I don't feel enough have a father as a character, and, given my moniker here, I could really identify with that. And I was like, I am actually very interested in this character now, because they could make this a really worthwhile story, a character to delve into that's not a normal one, and maybe help show people kind of how it's like. I mean, it's not, you know, I mean, you're not going to changing diapers like it's Heavy Rain, but maybe give other people an insight into how parents are, maybe just a little. I don't know. I felt I could identify with this character, and that meant something to me. And I give them kudos for making a character like that. I think that's a really cool idea, and if done well, I think might be the best video game character of the year. I guess next year is when the game's coming out, so maybe next year it'll be the best video game character of the year. A bit selfish, that's fine. Still, thank you, Capcom, and whoever the developer is, whoever they made a Follow Liberty Turning Point. I don't remember, but it was just cool of them to do that as a character. Back to the mechanics. So at one point you're going, and then, you know, when you're walking and the mech freezes and you have to get out and shoot the ice off of it. I don't know how prevalent that would be. It was okay. If I had to do that every mission, I'd get real sick of it. And I'm trying to think if there's much anything else. You can get into the mech really fast, which is nice, because I felt in 1 and 2 it took a bit too, like, it was kind of cool because you got to watch it happen, but in the middle of combat you took too long to get into a mech. It was kind of a downer. But the enemies look fine. The combat, with being able to adjust the sensitivity and the inverting the aim for me, I think the combat would be fine. Felt better than less clunky than number 2 for sure. And this is definitely a game I'm looking forward to. I was a little worried because Capcom keeps grabbing low-tier Western developers to make their games, and I don't know what that whole thing is about. But this, it felt like Lost Planet to me. It felt like the first one. Snowy barren wasteland, going around, you're just some guy who just happens to be able to pilot robots. It goes back to the single-player focus, and I really like what they could do with the main character. I'm definitely interested in picking this up when it comes out. Obviously not exactly when it comes out, but I'm looking forward to playing this, and I'm hoping that the real game can actually live up to the hope that the demo gave me. While it might not, if there's some way to check this out, I would definitely keep my eye on it. Try it out if you can. It was actually really good. Thanks for watching.